Imagine a moment, the same heavy punch lands on someone's life. One person never gets back up, another wakes up from that very instant. What if what decides your fate isn't the punch itself, but the first sentence you say in your heart? What if what really keeps you stuck isn't what happens to you, but the way you've gotten used to responding? In the morning, before your alarm even rings, your phone jolts you awake. A late night, get this done before tomorrow, from your boss, a casual screenshot from your family of some other people's kid, and the news refreshing waves of panic about an economic downturn. You stare at the screen in a daze, your heartbeat speeding up, yet you don't even have the strength to ask, what am I actually afraid of? You just quietly stuff yourself into that auto-playing line, I have no choice, I just have to push through. At lunch, you only want a proper meal, but a let's talk about your performance pulls you into a meeting room. You nod, apologize, instantly draw up a list of changes in your head, cooperating perfectly on the surface, yet back at your desk you suddenly feel as if the whole world is judging you. You replay the conversation again and again, maybe I really am not good enough. But have you ever thought that what truly hurts you is that explanation biting into you on repeat inside, not those few critical sentences themselves? In the evening, you get home thinking you can finally exhale. Instead, a casual remark, why are you always so emotional? Pricks your chest like a fine needle. You fall silent, shut yourself in your room, and slap on a label, I'm the one with the problem. But when you treat that sentence as a verdict on your entire self, over and over, have you ever stopped to ask, do I have any other way of seeing this? Or have I grown used to explaining myself in the cruelest possible way? When you habitually explain the world in a certain way, it's as if you've put on an invisible pair of glasses. You think that's reality, but in fact it's just an automatic response system you've trained for years. The Stoics break it into two layers. What happens on the outside is not in your control, but how you look at it, how you respond, has always been in your hands. The problem is, you haven't really picked up that hand in a very long time. There's a saying in psychology, an event is just an event, what truly hurts you is the way you explain it to yourself. Philosophy puts it even more bluntly, you don't see the world as it is, you see the world inside your head. If you think back carefully, was it really the thing itself that broke you every time? Being rejected, misunderstood, abandoned, those scenes are genuinely painful. But what really magnifies the pain is the verdict you pass on them in your own mind. Inside this system, there are three especially crucial characters: shadow, mask, and self-betrayal. By shadow, we don't mean horror movies, but the part of you that you don't want to admit, don't want to see. For example, in a relationship you always say, I'm fine, looking very considerate, while inside you're full of grievance and anger. Over time, you even convince yourself, I just don't need that much. So whenever the other person ignores you, your explanation isn't, I'm being neglected, but, I'm too sensitive, I shouldn't ask for so much. Your real needs are thrown into the shadow. That's the first layer of response, denying yourself. By mask, we mean the side of you that you present to the world. The mask you wear at work might be, the always calm professional. So when your boss questions you in front of everyone, your automatic reaction isn't, I feel offended, but an instant switch into, I must not be emotional, I must not talk back, I can only prove I'm more competent. You carry all the pressure, look composed on the surface, and then lie awake all night at home. You think you're managing the situation, but what you're really doing is responding through the mask, I'm not allowed to be vulnerable, I can only be stronger. And self-betrayal is what happens between those two. Every time you feel wronged, but tell yourself, I have no right to be upset. Every time you clearly want to say no, but let it come out of your mouth as, it's okay, whatever works. Every time there's a fire of, "This is unfair," burning inside you, but you tell yourself, "Forget it, I can't change anything anyway." On the surface, you're responding to events. In reality, you're snuffing out your own feelings. Again and again, you choose to stand on the side of the event, not on your own side. In relationships, this mechanism works like this. The other person is distant, disappears, brushes you off. That's what happens. The reaction that jumps up inside you is rarely, "He's hurting me," but more often, "Did I mess up again? Am I being too clingy, too dramatic?" You turn all the arrows toward yourself and then try desperately to become a more understanding partner. The harder you try to be someone who never bothers others, the easier it is to fall into relationships where you're treated casually. At work, the mechanism takes another shape. Projects get cut, proposals rejected, overtime treated as normal. That's what happens. You immediately explain it to yourself as, "The market is bad, it's tough for everyone, I'll just endure it, things will get better later, I just need to push through this phase." You rarely allow yourself to admit, "This is unfair treatment, I need boundaries." So in the name of understanding reality, you keep moving your bottom line backward. The more you want to be a reasonable, easygoing person, the easier it is to rationalize every injustice into, "I guess it's on me to carry this." In your relationship with your parents, this mechanism is even more hidden. They say things like, "It's all for your own good, I've eaten more salt than you've eaten rice," and casually roll over your life choices. In your memory, you really wanted to shout, "This is my life," but what actually happened was, you went quiet, and said to yourself, "Maybe they're right. Maybe I really am too naive." So you learn to suppress your intuition first, then try to meet their expectations. Over time, you genuinely can't tell anymore, "What do I want, and what have I only been told I should want?" See it now? All these scenes sound like they're about what others did, but what really determines the direction of your fate is the automatic line that pops up in your mind each time. "It must be that I'm not good enough. That's just how reality is, nothing I can do. This is just the kind of person I am, I can't change." Here lies a brutally ironic paradox. The more you use, "This is objective reality," to explain your situation, the more likely you are to lock yourself in a prison built entirely out of your own subjectivity. You think you're clear-headed, rational, mature. In fact, you're just stamping reality onto the responses you're most used to. Take another step back and think. When you say, "This is just who I am, this kind of thing will always hurt me, in this kind of environment I can only endure," are you really describing facts? Or are you repeating a story you've been trained to tell for many years? When you keep making excuses for other people's behavior, for the things that hurt you, for the structures that crush you, are you trying to understand the world, or are you carrying out a gentle execution of yourself? What's truly frightening isn't that you have these shadows, these masks, these acts of self-betrayal. Everyone does. What's truly frightening is this: they've long since become your default way of seeing the world, silently making every "how do I respond" decision for you, without you even noticing. So if we filmed this entire mechanism as a movie, starting from the first time someone learns to swallow their hurt, and following them as they gradually get used to siding with the event, siding with others, with everyone except themselves, where would that path lead their fate? Next, let's use a story to show you this invisible trajectory, from beginning to end. What's truly frightening isn't those one-off blows, but the signature you quietly put down in your own heart after each one. On the surface, your life looks like a series of events: being rejected, being ignored, being misunderstood, being compared, being dragged down. But if you stretch the timeline, you'll find that what brought you to where you are today isn't these events themselves, but your long-term style of explaining them. Psychology calls this your attributional style. Philosophy is blunter, it's your basic stance toward the world. When something knocks you down, your brain instinctively throws out a line to file it away: I'm just unlucky. The world is just unfair. I'm simply not good enough. These lines look like pure emotional venting, but in reality they're like contracts you keep signing. You agree to use this way of understanding yourself, other people, and the world. Sign often enough, and in order to save effort, your brain upgrades them to default settings. Next time something similar happens, there's no thinking, just auto-apply. From a brain mechanism point of view, this is its well-intentioned laziness. The brain loves patterns and hates reasoning from scratch every time. That's the principle of minimum effort. So when you keep using, "It must be that I'm not good enough," to explain other people's coldness, that's just how reality is. To explain being exploited, forget it. To explain your own lack of resistance, these lines stop being temporary emotions, and get assembled into a stable belief: I don't deserve better, I don't have other options, this is the only way I can live. Meanwhile, a few classic cognitive biases are quietly at work in the background. Negativity bias makes you extra sensitive to all negative signals while automatically filtering out the positive ones. Confirmation bias makes you notice only the evidence that proves I really am useless and the world really is hostile, treating any counterexamples as mere accidents. Learned helplessness wraps around you like a transparent film. After trying and failing enough times, you simply convince yourself effort doesn't work, and from then on you skip even the attempt. Culture plays the role of another invisible hand. Since you were small, you were taught to be sensible, to be considerate, to think more from the other person's side. So when you're hurt, your first reaction isn't "I'm hurt," but "Am I being too picky?" It's not easy for them either. You think that's kindness, but in fact you're doing the explaining on behalf of the one who hurt you. You think that's maturity, but really you're diverting energy away from changing how I respond into rationalizing my current situation. Over time, you may even start to dislike people who dare to set boundaries and dare to say no, not because they're actually wrong, but because they sting the part of you that whispers, "I wish I could do that, but I don't dare." Under all these layers of influence, your way of responding shifts from one option to the only truth. You no longer feel you have a choice, and you no longer realize that how to respond is itself a trainable skill. You say things like, "I'm just this kind of person. If this happens to me, I will definitely fall apart. With my background, I can only accept my fate." They sound like summaries of experience, but in reality they're an early surrender to fate. And when enough individuals explain their situation this way, the shape of a whole society is quietly molded. Companies can righteously use overtime as a loyalty test, because there will always be someone who tells themselves, "I'm not working hard enough, I have no right to complain." Intimate relationships can run for years on emotional manipulation, because there will always be someone who believes, "I'm too sensitive, I shouldn't ask for so much." Families can invade your choices in the name of, "It's for your own good," because there will always be someone who silently assumes, pushing back is unfilial, it's selfish. At that point, the brutality and indifference of the system doesn't need much visible violence, it only needs your quiet sentence, "There's nothing I can do," to stay firmly in place. From the outside, your life looks okay. You can smile, work, socialize, and post seemingly wise and detached reflections on social media. But inside, your trust in yourself is being eaten away bit by bit. You stop believing your own intuition. You stop believing you deserve kindness. You stop believing you have the right to say no. You learn to explain everything as, "That's just the way it is, of course I get taken advantage of course I'm looked down on, of course I can only get secretly angry when it's late and quiet. This is the long-term consequence of staring only at what happened and never asking how you respond. You think you're enduring a difficult chapter, but really you're slowly giving up your position as a subject in your own life. You think you're analyzing reality, but really you're building thicker and thicker walls around your own prison. If we push the timeline even further out, you'll see something harsher. This whole automated way of responding is very likely to be passed on intact to the next generation. You say to them, "Don't talk back to the teacher, just endure it, it'll pass, society is just this realistic." You think you're teaching them tact, maturity, pragmatism. In fact, you're laying in front of them the same, "I can only live this way" contract you signed years ago, and asking them to sign it again. Where you stand right now is not just a mood, it's a fork in the road. If you let this invisible mechanism keep running on autopilot, then your reactions, choices, and relationships over the next 5 or 10 years will very likely slide along the same track. You won't suddenly collapse, you'll simply grow used to it, used to not speaking up for yourself, used to not expecting change, used to numbing that small bit of defiance with, "That's just how reality is." But is it possible that, even if only in one very specific moment, you give a different response? One time where you don't automatically blame yourself, don't automatically rationalize, don't automatically fall back on, "There's nothing I can do," but instead pause, just long enough to ask yourself one more question, apart from the explanation I'm used to, could there be another one? Don't rush to answer, because real turning points don't start with some correct answer. They start the first time you dare to question your automatic reactions. Next, what we're going to do is slowly shine a light on that tiny patch of free space you thought didn't exist. If everything we've talked about so far is a prison, then real rebellion often looks nothing like what you imagined. You think that to change your fate, you have to switch jobs, leave a relationship, move to another city. But the real watershed often starts from something radically internal, the first time you refuse to use the old way to explain the same event. To put it in a counterintuitive way, the most important act of courage in your life is not enduring one more round of unfairness from the outside world, but daring for the first time to ask, "Maybe I don't have to respond like this anymore." The usual intuition is, as long as the outside world gets better, I'll feel better, as long as people treat me more gently, life will feel lighter. But you've spent your whole life proving that this path doesn't really work. So we need to turn in another direction, stop obsessing over, controlling what happens, and redirect your energy to, how I describe what happens, what I allow this event to mean to me. It's not the facts that break you, it's your version of the story that breaks you. So now, we start with the story. The first small move is so simple it's almost laughable. In the moment you're about to jump to a conclusion, deliberately add 3 seconds. These 3 seconds are not for you to endure more, but to give your feelings a name. For example, when your instinct is about to say in your head, "Of course it's my fault again," stop, and replace it with, "Right now I feel really hurt and really angry." You don't have to decide what to do yet, you're just rewriting the first line, changing it from, "I am the problem," to, "I have been affected." It may sound like just a slightly different description, but in reality you've already moved yourself from the problem itself back to the one who responds. The second move is to invite all those automatic explanations of yours out onto paper. Find a quiet moment and recall the recent times that hurt you the most. Write down, one by one, what you said to yourself in your head at those moments. It might be, "I should have seen this coming, it's all my fault, I'm just the kind of person nobody needs, what else can you expect from someone born into a family like mine?" When these lines are dragged out of the black box and laid out in front of you, you suddenly see how absurd they are. They're not facts, they're spells that have been repeated so often you mistook them for facts. Then, pick the one you use the most and that hits you the hardest, and write a new version beneath it. For example, change "it's all my fault" into "I share some responsibility, but this isn't the whole truth." Change "this is just the kind of person I am" into "this is a reaction I was trained into over many years. It's not all of who I am." You haven't magically become another person, but you've already started dismantling that cell that says, there is only one explanation. The third move is to run a tiny, reverse response experiment in a real interaction. For example, when someone close to you says, "Why are you like this again?" your old script might be to immediately apologize, explain, reason with them, and then go home and tear yourself up inside. This time, try saying just one line: "I hear how you feel, but I also need some time to think about my own feelings." You're not starting a fight, you're not storming off, you're simply refusing to let the old script jump onto the stage right away. Likewise at work, when someone tries to dump something on you that clearly shouldn't be your responsibility, your habitual reaction might be to say, "No problem, I'll handle it." This time, you can try, "My schedule is already full right now, we'll need to look at priorities together." You'll be surprised, the world doesn't instantly collapse, but your view of yourself has quietly shifted a step toward, "I'm not someone who can only swallow it." The fourth move is to practice shifting events from "about me as a person" to "about a specific situation." For instance, when your boss rejects your proposal, your old story might be, "I have no value." When your partner doesn't reply in time, your story might be, "I'm not worth caring about." When your family doesn't understand your choices, your story might be, "I'm never truly seen." Now, in each of these moments, force yourself to write a new line of narrative: "This proposal doesn't fit what's needed right now, he's currently occupied with something else, they have their own fears, but that doesn't mean I lose the right to choose." You're not whitewashing others, you're rewriting total self-negation into a description of a specific conflict. Once events are no longer automatically equated with, "There's something wrong with me as a person," you step down from the judge's stand of fate and return to a place where you can think and choose. The final move is to leave a response log for your future self. Pick something that has been weighing on you recently, something that torments you, and write 2 paragraphs. In the first, truthfully record your current automatic reaction, how you scold yourself, how you define the world. In the second, rewrite the response in the way you hope your future self, 5 years from now, would handle it. Even if you can't respond that way yet, it doesn't matter, you're simply leaving a template for another possible you. You'll be surprised that just writing that second paragraph already plants a new option inside you: "So I do have the right to understand my life this way." All these moves look tiny, even a bit, not epic enough. They won't suddenly make the world gentle with you, nor will they make all unfairness vanish overnight. But they're doing something crucial: stroke by stroke, they're taking back the power to decide how I respond, from other people, from old wounds, from the entire culture, and slowly putting it back into your own hands. When you no longer only speak in the language of automatic self-blame, automatic rationalization, and automatic resignation, you've cleared a patch of inner ground where no one else gets to be in charge. You might ask, can changing just a few lines of inner dialogue really change anything? Can it really stand up to years of conditioning, hurt, and systemic pressure? The answer is, you won't see earth-shattering changes right away, but you will see a slow yet real shift. You'll be more willing to speak up for yourself, more able to say no, less likely to wrap things up with, "I had it coming," and you'll feel a faint but unmistakable sense more and more often: I am slowly moving back to my own side. When you stop defining yourself by how the world treats me, and start redrawing your self-portrait with how I respond to the world, your life path has already quietly veered away from that old route of automatic reruns. So then, along this new trajectory, where will it take you? If you really begin to stand on your own side, what will that line, the one that truly belongs to you, start to look like? That's what we're going to explore together in the final part. If we had to twist this whole story into a single sentence, it would be this: what determines your fate has never been what the world does to you, but what you quietly agree to let it mean inside your own mind. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." All those automatic ways you respond, every, "that's just the way I am," every, "there's nothing I can do," are your unconscious signing on your behalf. Kierkegaard said that a person is not defined by the facts, but by the attitude he takes toward those facts. The same pain can push one person into despair, and another into resolve. In the Hermetic tradition there is an old saying, "As within, so without." The way you respond on the inside will, sooner or later, turn into a direction your life takes on the outside. So the real ultimate insight is not, you must defeat the world, but this: the most important task of your life is not to silence the outside world, but to learn, in the face of any event, how to step back onto your own side. When you start responding like this, you won't suddenly have a perfect life, but little by little, you will start to have a life that actually feels like it belongs to you. Let's go back to that morning at the very beginning. The alarm hasn't gone off yet, but your phone jolts you awake again. Messages from your boss, comparison screenshots from your family, news flooding your screen. The old you would feel your heart race as you muttered inside, "Great, another awful day." Today, you take a slow breath and say just one line in your mind: "What's happening now is a lot of demands, how I respond next is my choice." You still have to get up, go to work, reply to people, but you no longer automatically equate all of this with, "I've already lost." At lunch, you're called into a meeting room, questioned, shot down. In the past, you would sign the whole verdict in your head in one go: "I'm just not good enough." Today, you might still feel nervous, still blush, but as you walk out of the room you deliberately tell yourself, "What just happened was a rejection of a proposal, not a judgment on my entire being. I'm allowed to feel sad, but I won't turn this event into my identity." The emotions will still move through you, but they won't rewrite your definition of yourself so easily. At night, you get home and someone close to you casually throws out, "Why are you always like this?" In the past, you'd go silent as usual, hide in your room, and carve those words into your bones. Today, you might still feel hurt, but you try to answer, "Hearing that makes me a bit sad. Can we talk about it properly another time?" You may not get a mature response right away, but you're already practicing something new, putting yourself into the conversation, instead of letting the old script run on unchecked. These choices all look small, slow, and not very satisfying. But the turn in fate almost always begins in these undramatic moments. From the first time you stop automatically attacking yourself. From the first time you allow your feelings to be real. From the first time you say, "This hurt me," instead of, "I'm just being oversensitive." You can keep doing what you've always done and blame everything on what happened. Or, starting today, in just one specific situation, you can try giving yourself a new kind of response. No one can make this decision for you. But once you do, it becomes very hard to fully return to that old world of, "This is just how it is for me." Now it's your turn. What line do you use most often to explain what happens to you in your life? Which moment still stings when you think of it, because back then you could have spoken up for yourself, but chose silence instead? If today you allowed yourself just one tiny, different response, even if it's only asking, "What else could this mean?" where would you start? Write your story in the comments. Not to prove how miserable you are, but to bear witness to this: in the same world, you've started practicing a new way of telling the story of your own fate.